outer space. Okay, so I will record this. Ah, another one. Sir, baka po mag-connecting ako. Lakas lang po kasi ng ulan. Okay. Lakas nga ng ulan. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we will proceed with our new topic. So this is the last topic included in the midterm exam. So this is the two-dimensional steady-state conduction. So I'll be sharing my screen. So two-dimensional steady-state conduction. As you can see on our screen, we have here a heated metal. So, and on the right corner, on the right side is the temperature flow or plot, contour plot. So as you can see, here the color is red. So it means that the temperature here is high. So as it goes alongside this figure, so it becomes blue. So the temperature is uh, temperature decreases. Okay. So yeah, so same case as this figure. So the heat is being transferred from this source going to the other side of the metal. So this is the heat source is here going to the other side. Okay. Thank you po. Thank you po. Okay, going back, we have different softwares to utilize to simulate this 2D conduction. So first is the MATLAB FEA 2D steady state heat transfer. So who among you have already utilized this software, MATLAB? Okay, so we have a free. Raise and Jake. So you have already used this. So in what purpose?
Ay, Sir Lasem po. Nung ano, computer application. Matrix. Solving.
Okay, so last semester. So yeah. So this program is a thermal finite element analysis solver also for steady state heat transfer across 2D plates. So this program numerically solves a steady state conduction problem using the finite difference method. So the finite difference method is the one that we will discuss today. So this is one of the method in solving for the 2D heat transfer. So after the results are calculated, the program displays a color contour plot as you can see on our screen. So the red part, this is the highest temperature. Then eventually it decreases. Yeah. Okay, so let's have some lines here. So as you can see, uh, so how to write? Okay, anyway, so yung lines natin, the lines here are the heat transfer flow lines are called adiabats. Well, the vertical line, for example, I will draw line vertically. Yeah. Anyway, so imagine there's a vertical line here, so that is what we call the isotherms. I actually have this figure. So this is our figure. As you can see, we have the heat flow lines. So the heat transfer is from this direction going to this direction. Yeah. Same as our figure earlier. So this is what we call the heat flow lines or the adiabats. Adiabats. While the other line, this vertical line going downward, is the isotherms. Okay, so yan yung ating, these are the parts of our temperature contour plot. So we have an adiabats here and an isotherm going downward. Okay. So another software is the ANSYS Mechanical. So as we all know, time plays an important role in heat transfer. So any heat transfer phenomenon takes some time to reach a steady state. So during this heat transfer process, the temperature of the body is either increasing or decreasing with time. So in other words, the temperature is time dependent. So for example, the temperature of the metal rod heated at one end slowly increases with the time due to conduction, and its heat is felt on the other side of the rod as well. So that just like what I have said earlier, so the heat will transfer from here to the source going to the other side. So in reality, so this is a transient heat conduction. So a study of such transient conduction problems not only help us understand the overall conduction time scales or time required to achieve a steady state temperature, but also provides insights into the total energy stored by the body. So any change in the imposed thermal conditions of the body, such as the addition of heat source or sink or change in the boundary conditions, will cause the system to undergo a transient approach for establishing a different steady state solution. So yeah, in reality, it's hard to provide or to calculate transient heat transfer. So that is the reason why we are using the software like this one, ANSYS 2, is the burden of manual calculation. Okay. So, but for now, we will study first the manual calculation for only for the steady state, not for the transient. So our objectives for today is to review alternative approaches to determining temperatures and heat rates in a two-dimensional steady-state conduction. So to consider some mathematical issues associated with obtaining exact solution and to show how with the aid of a computer numerical finite difference or finite elements method may be used to accurately predict temperatures and heat rates within the medium and its boundaries. Okay, so for a steady state with no heat generation, Laplace transforms Laplace equation applies. As you can see in our screen, we have this equation. Assuming constant thermal conductivity K, so we have partial squared T over partial X squared plus partial X squared T over partial Y squared is equivalent to 0. So this is the equation for the two-dimensional steady state condition with no heat generation. So it comes from the one that we have derived last time, the heat diffusion equation. So this 2.19 is the heat diffusion equation. So this is our formula. So since we do not have z-axis, so we have to eliminate the z, and we do not have heat generation, so we have to eliminate the q, and we also don't have the energy storage, so we have to eliminate this formula for the energy storage. So what was left? What were left are the heat transfer at x and y direction. So it's a two-dimensional heat transfer. So we can simplify this equation by uh, Fourier's law equation. So we all know that the formula for finding the Q eh, or the heat transfer is Ka, partial derivative of T with respect to X, and Qy is partial derivative of T with respect to Y times Ka. So by the way, for us to determine the overall heat transfer rate, so we have to get the summation of Qx and Qy. So as you can see in this figure, we have Qy at negative Ka partial derivative of t with respect to y, and Qx equals negative Ka partial derivative of t with respect to x. So this is the resultant. So to get the overall heat transfer, so you have to add Qx plus Qy. Okay, so this will be the flow of our calculation. So Q equals Qx plus Qy. So the heat flow quantities are directed either in x direction or in y direction. So the total heat flow at any point in the material is the resultant of the x and qy at that point. So thus, the total heat flow vector is directed so that it is perpendicular to the lines of constant temperature, so isotherm. So in this figure, I just have to magnify the the resultant heat transfer here is perpendicular to the line of isotherm. So as you can see, this is our isotherm, the vertical line. Perpendicular to isotherm is the heat transfer. So we have Qy double prime and Qx double prime. So heat flux pag walang area na given. So we have, yeah, this is the location. So it's perpendicular to isotherm. So the resultant is perpendicular to the isotherm. Okay. So we actually have three methods to consider when solving for the two-dimensional steady-state conduction. The first method is the analytical. So this is the most complex method and requires analytical. knowledge or mean numerical higher mathematical knowledge. So because we will use here the Taylor expansion series and other higher math. Okay. So the next method is the graphical method. So this is the easiest method. However, it is also the less accurate because we are just assuming a certain size of a node, for example. And the last method is the numerical or finite difference, finite element or boundary element. So in your module, I think it's page, what page it is? You can refer to your module page 48. Yeah, page 48. So it's the two-dimensional steady state conduction. So what I am discussing today is also on your module, so you can refer to page 48. Okay, so let's go first with analytical method. So we have two-dimensional heat conduction, so the method of separation of variables. So it's a very complex method, so analytical. So as you can see here, this is our figure. This is the isotherm, the vertical arrow, and then the vertical line is the isotherm, while the horizontal line is the adiabats or temperature, constant temperature line. So to solve for the equation 3-1, so the equation 3-1 is the heat diffusion equation for two variables. So to solve for this equation, so the separation of variables method is used. So the essential point of this method is that the solution to the differential equation is assumed to take a product form. So t equals xy, where x equals x of x and y equals y of y. Okay, so consider the boundary conditions. So t equals t1 at y equals 0. So you can see here, t equals t1 at y is 0. So that's our first boundary. So the second boundary is at x equals 0. So we have t equals t1 at x equals 0. So this one. And t equals t1 at x equals w is our third boundary. So this is our w. So t equals t1 here. So constant temperature. And then, so yeah, we have here the formula t equals tm sine pi x over w plus t1 at y equals h. So at y equals h, this one. So you have the different value of t. So that is what we call the t equals f of x. So yeah, this is the function or the equation for the value of t at x at y equals h. So where the tm is the amplitude of the same sine function. So substituting equation 3-4 in 3-1 will give this equation. So let us substitute this equation 3-4 to this equation 3-1. So you will gain this equation. Yeah, just combine it. Just combine it. Okay. So yeah, it's a very complex process as I have said because we have to use the Taylor series expansion to expand this equation. Okay. So after sa substituting the equation 3-4 into 3-1, we will gain this equation 3-7 and 3-8. So here, we will have to uh, expand this equation. So we have to provide a separation constant, which is lambda squared. So its value must be determined from the boundary conditions. Okay, so we have different forms of equation at lambda squared is equivalent to 0. So this is our equation 3-9. When lambda squared is less than 0, so we have this equation 3-10. If lambda squared is greater than 0, so we have equation 3-11. So it is possible to satisfy the sine function boundary condition. So we shall attempt to satisfy other conditions. Okay. So it's a little bit complex process. So but yeah, it's we later we will use another method wherein we can simplify this analytical method. So that is by the use of a shape factor. As for the graphical analysis method, so consider the two-dimensional system as shown in this figure. So the inside surface is maintained at some temperature T1. We wish to calculate the heat transfer. Isotherms and heat flow lines have been sketched to aid this calculation. So the isotherms and heat flow lanes from the groupings of a curvilinear figure, like as shown in this figure. So the heat flows across the curvilinear section. So yeah, that's what you can see here. So we have a let's study the first quadrant first, and then we can multiply it by 4 since we have 4 quadrants. So first, we have the formula for finding the Q, which is negative K delta X times 1, or the area. So in this figure, okay, this is our heat transfer. So ang perpendicular in the area is delta X times 1. So the value of Z is 1. We do not have Z here, so we have to use the value 1. So delta T over delta Y. So that's the formula for heat transfer here. So in order for us to get the value using graphical, so you have to, there are steps. For the delta T equals delta T over all over N. So we will use the delta T here. To get for the value of delta T, we have delta T is delta T over all over N, where N is the number of temperature increments. Okay, so looking at this figure, so how many number of N do we have? So temperature increments are this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 temperature increments. So times 4 is equivalent to 16. So N here equals 16. So did you get it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 1, 2, 3. 4 times 4. So it's 16. We have a value of N now. Yes.
Sir, paano po ulit naging 4 yung and po, yung number of temperature increment?
Okay, so I will put number. This is the one. Ay, So we have four, no? Okay, so we have four. So we have four n equals 4. Eh, pero times 4 siya kasi quadrant. So it's 16. Ah, tama ba? 16? No pala, 4 lang pala talaga siya. Hindi mo siya i-multiply sa 4. 4 lang siya talaga, no? So 4. And then, we have, this is our formula for the Q. So we have M over N times K delta T over all. So N is 4. M, how about M? So M is the number of heat flow lines. So we have, mm, how many heat flow lines we have? Wo- 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. 1, ay hindi. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. 8. So we have 8. 8 na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 na isotherms, ay ice adiabats, sorry. So we have 8 adiabats or heat flow lines. Heat flow lanes. So to calculate for the rate of heat transfer, so we have Q equals M over N. So equals 8 over 4 times K times delta T. So that's how you calculate for the graphical method. But we will not use this method because it is not accurate. So I just provide you some examples for you to view what is for your reference only for what is graphical analysis. So that's how it works. So we have the number of n is the number of temperature increments and m is the number of heat flow lanes. So it is 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lines. So 8. So yeah, that's our delta x is equivalent to delta y. So if you have the value of m and n, we can solve the heat transfer using graphical solution. Okay. So going back, uh, the conduction. Ay, by the way, do you have any question with graphical? Okay na. So we can proceed. So the conduction shape factor and dimensionless conduction heat rate. So in order for us to simplify the analytical solution, because as I have said, in general, finding analytical solutions to the two or three-dimensional heat equation is time consuming, and in many cases, it's not possible. So therefore, a different approach is often taken. So for example, in many instances, two or three-dimensional conduction problems may be rapidly solved by utilizing existing solutions to the heat diffusion equation. So these solutions are reported in terms of a shape factor S or a steady state dimensionless conduction heat rate. So yeah, this is our formula for finding Q. So in order for us to analyze the solution easily and to avoid any errors, so we will use the shape factor S. So what is this shape factor S? So this is a dimensionless conduction heat rate. Our steady state dimensionless conduction heat rate. So yeah, it's dimensionless, and the formula here is depends on the cases. So we also have thermal resistance here. So for conduction, we have 1 over Sk. So this is our formula for conduction of thermal resistance. S is also the same, which is the shape factor. So if you can see here, we have total of 15 cases. So there's a good news for you because fortunately these tables are already provided in your green book. So during exam you can use this formula. So you don't have to memorize it. Do you have your green table? So yeah, it's on your green table. So it's a great help because you don't have to memorize this. So let's go back to the cases. So for example, we have case 1 to 15. So you will analyze the problem if it belongs to these cases. So if it does, so you can use this formula. Q equals S K delta T. So using the value of S is based on the shape factor here and the cases. Case 1 is isothermal sphere buried in a semi-infinite medium. So this is isothermal sphere buried in infinite semi-infinite medium. So if Z is greater than D over 2, so we have here the Z value, and then D, have D, and yeah, that's our case. So this is our shape factor. Case 2 is isothermal cylinder of length L buried in a semi-infinite medium also. So the difference is that the other one is a spherical, while this one is cylindrical. So we have different formula. So if L is greater than D, so this one, L is greater than D, but Z is greater than 3D over 2. So you have to calculate for this one. So you have to establish first the considerations or restrictions before using the shape factor because some shape factor have two formulas. Okay. So vertical cylinder in a semi-infinite medium. Yeah, this one is a vertical cylinder. We have the length and the diameter. So we have 2 pi L over 4 pi LD. So that's the shape factor or multiplier. Case 4 is for conduction between two cylinders of length L, infinite medium. So this is our formula. So case 5 is for horizontal cylinder or length L midway between parallel of equal length and infinite width. So there's an infinite width here. So unlike this one, the case 6 is there's a fix. So it is given the width is given here of a square. So in this case, there is a circular cylinder of length L centered in a square solid of equal length. Case 7 is eccentric circular cylinder of length L. So there's a cylinder inside of a cylinder, but the cylinder is not positioned on the center. So there's an eccentricity here. So yeah, so we will use this equation, the shape factor. For case 7, for case 8 is conduction through the edge of the adjoining walls. So it's very simple, 0.54D. That's our shape factor. Case 9, we have conduction through corner of three walls. Yeah. And case 10 is the disk of diameter D and temperature T1. On a semi-infinite medium, thermal conductivity K and temperature T2. Case 11 is a square channel of length L. I think we have some problems similar to this figure. So we have W over W is less than 1.4. W over W is greater than 1.4. So if that's less than 1.4, the ratio of W over small w, so we have this equation. If it's greater than 1.4, we have this equation. Okay? Case 12 is isothermal sphere of diameter d and temperature T1 in an infinite medium of temperature T2. So yeah, case 13 is infinitely film, infinitely thin isothermal disk. So just very thin disk. So this is our shape factor. Case 14 is infinitely thin rectangle naman, rectangle geometry. And case 15 is cuboid shape of height d with a square footprint of width d and temperature T1 in an infinite medium of temperature T2. So yeah, that's our case 15. So yeah, that's 15 cases all together. Okay. So we have an example here. A metallic electrical wire of diameter d equals 5 mm is to be coated with insulation of thermal conductivity K equals 0.35 watt per meter Kelvin. So it is expected that for those it is expected that for a typical installation, the coated wire will be exposed to conditions for which the total coefficient associated with convection and radiation is H equals 15 watt per meter squared Kelvin. So to minimize the temperature rise of the wire due to ohmic heating, the insulation thickness is specified so that the critical insulation radius is achieved. So during the wire coating process, however, the insulation thickness sometimes varies around the periphery of the wire, resulting in eccentricity of the wire relative to the coating. So determine the change in the thermal resistance of the insulation due to an eccentricity that is 50% of the critical insulation thickness. So I'll give you 1 minute, 2 minutes to check what will be the formula to be applied. What case is this? Okay, so for a while. Okay, so I know that you already know this is case 7. So case 7, case 7, so is for eccentric circular cylinder of length L in a cylinder of equal length. Okay, so yeah, this one is case 7. So we have small diameter and large diameter. Small diameter is for the copper wire, large diameter is for the insulation. And then we will utilize this equation for the shape factor. Okay, so next. So node, so wire diameter, convective conditions, and insulation thermal conductivity. So we are looking for the thermal resistance of the wire coating associated with peripheral variations. So thermal resistance, we have the formula for that, which is this one. So this is the formula for the thermal resistance for the with shape factor S. So if the if we have to calculate for the thermal resistance for the one that has a perfect insulation, meaning the insulation is perfectly placed like this one. So we will use the original formula for the thermal resistance. So for the eccentric one, so we will use the formula for the K7. Okay. So assumptions, steady state conditions, two-dimensional conduction, constant properties. Both exterior and interior surface of coating are uniform temperatures. Okay, going back. So yeah, this is our assumptions for constant properties and both exterior and interior surfaces of the coating are uniform temperatures. Okay, so let's go with the solution. So to solve for the critical temperature, so we have to use the formula that we are always using, which is the ratio of the thermal conductivity which over the convection coefficient. So just to get for the critical radius. So we have the critical insulation radius is K over H, which is 0.35 over 0.15. So it's 0.023 or 23 mm. So meaning the radius here is 23 millimeter. It's the radius of insulation. So the diameter is 46 mm. Okay. So to compute for the thickness, so we have to subtract the radius with the radius of the copper. The radius of the copper is 2.5 mm. So 23 minus 2.5 is 21.5. Na, tama ba? 20.5. So it's 20.5 or 0.021 meter. So that's the critical insulation thickness or 21 mm just to round up. So we have insulation thickness of 21 mm. So the thermal resistance of the coating associated with the concentric wire may be evaluated using this equation. So by the way, do you have question with 21 mm? So this one is 21 mm, critical insulation thickness. 21 mm. So why did we get the 21? Why did why we have to get the 21 mm thickness. So based on this problem, we have to determine the change in thermal resistance of insulation due to eccentricity that is 50% of the critical insulation thickness. So if the critical insulation thickness is 21 mm, so 50% of that is 10.5. So that's the eccentricity. So the value of here is 10.5, yung value ng TCR over 2. So here, TCR over 2 is 10.5. So yeah. So this one, what will be the value of the thickness here? So if this is 10.5, this is 21 plus 10.5, 31.5. 31.5, 10.5. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so we have 21 mm, the critical thickness. So the thermal resistance for the coating associated with concentric wire. When we say concentric, it's the perfectly insulated one. So to compute for the thermal resistance, for that we have to use the old formula. Ln of R2 over R1 over 2 pi K. R2 is 23 mm, R1 is 2.5 mm, and K is given 0.35. So we'll get the value of 1.0 Kelvin per watt. Okay, so that's for concentric wire. So for eccentric wire, we have this formula. RT of conduction is 1 over SK. So using the formula for shape factor S, so use this formula, shape factor S. So 2 pi L over cosine H to the negative 1 D squared plus D squared plus 4Z squared over 2 DD. So yeah, this one. So you have to use this one. So you will get the value of resistance for thermal conductivity of 0.91 meter Kelvin per watt. So therefore, the reduction in the thermal resistance of the insulation is zero point 0.1 because the original, when it is concentric, so the thermal resistance is 1.0, while when it becomes eccentric, it's 0.91. So as you can see, there is a reduction of the efficiency of the insulation. So we have now a 10% reduction in thermal resistance of the insulation. So did you get this problem? Do you have any question? So luckily you have already your formulas for case 1 to 15. So if it is required in the exam, so you don't have to memorize it, you just have to look at the table. So yeah, that's our solution. We use the value of we use the formula for the S factor for K7 for eccentric cylinders. Okay, so next we have also, I will post this, I will post it now. So please wait for you. So you will have your copy. Just this is just an additional information, but everything is on your module na. Okay, so I already posted this slide on the Google Classroom. So yeah. Okay, so let's go with another method, the energy balance method. Okay, so but first we go to numerical methods of analysis. So in contrast to an analytical solution, so which allows for the temperature distribution at any point of interest in a medium, the numerical solution enables determination of the temperature at only discrete points. So if the problem only wants to solve for the discrete points, the temperature at the discrete points, for example, temperature Mn, if the problems only want to solve for this temperature, so you have to use the nodal network. Unlike the analytical solution, which allows the temperature for determination, the temperature determination at any point, so this numerical method is for the nodal point only, as a specific node, only discrete points. So the first step in any numerical analysis must therefore be to select these points. So the reference point is frequently termed as the nodal point or simply a node. Ang tawag natin dito sa TMN is a node. So yeah, this is a node. So while the group of nodes, this is what we call the mesh or network or grid. So the total node points, the nodal points are designated by a numbering scheme. For a two-dimensional system, it may take the form as in this figure. Yeah. A. So if we have Mn here, so this is 1. The value of each delta x and delta y is 1. So we have here m, n plus 1. So let's say the coordinates 0, 0, it's instead of 0, 0, it's mn. So yeah, it's above the delta x, so it's or delta y, so it should be m n plus 1. So if below, m n minus 1. If on the left, it should be m minus 1 n, and on the right, it should be m plus 1 n. M is for the x-axis, n is for the y-axis. So x and y locations are designated by mn indices respectively. So yeah, this is our equation for the 2D, two-dimensional. So we have partial squared t over partial x squared plus partial squared t over partial y squared, so equals 0. So let's simplify this equation. Okay, so partial squared t over partial x squared. So let's have first this is a combination of 2 partial t over partial x and partial t over partial x. So when we add this equation, the equation for this partial t over partial x, we will solve for the partial squared t over partial x squared. Okay, so given the boundary condition of m, based on this figure, we have boundary condition of m minus 1 over 2 and m plus 1 over 2. So unahin natin, let's go first with m minus 1 over 2n. So the delta t here, because we are referring to delta t over delta x, the delta t here is tmn minus tm minus 1n. So that's our delta T here. While the delta T at this side at m m plus 1 over 2n. So the delta T here is m plus 1n minus tmn over delta x. Okay, so please remember this equation. So yeah, if we combine this partial squared t over partial x squared, we will use this. We can use this equation delta t partial t over partial x minus partial t over partial x at specific boundaries. So yeah, we will add this one. Okay, can you add or can you multiply pala? Multiply. So you have multiply partial t over partial x. Okay, so yung denominator will be multiplied. So while the numerator will be addition. So we have here the final equation is Tm plus 1. So you have to substitute equation 4.25 and 4.26 into 4.24. So this is 4.25 and this is 4.26. Substitute it with equation 4.24. So when you do that, you will come up with this equation. T of m plus 1n plus Tm minus 1n minus 2Tmn over delta x squared. Okay, so same case with y direction. So this delta t over delta y squared. So that's our formula. So if delta x equals delta y, we can substitute equation 4.27 and 4.28 into equation 4.1. So 4.1, nasan yun? So anyway, so yeah, we'll just have to substitute equation 4.27. This is our equation 4.1. Okay, so substitute equation 4.27. This is our equation 4.27 and this is 4.28. So substitute it with this equation. Okay. So if you do that, we can get this 4.29 equation. So T of m n plus 1 plus Tm n minus 1 plus Tm plus 1n plus Tm minus 1n minus 40 minimum ay 40 mn equals 0. So saan galing yung 40? Where does the 40 comes from? So in x-axis, we have negative 42, negative 2t. So similarly, in y direction, we have also negative 2t mn. So adding that, we have negative 4t mn. Okay. So this is our finite difference form of the heat equation. Question? Do you have any question with finite difference form? No question? Okay, if you don't have any question, let's go back to, let's proceed with next. So we have now the energy balance. Okay, so by the way, since we have this temperature, you can calculate now with if there's a temperature given, so we can calculate for the temperature. If delta x equals delta y and it is given, so we can calculate. Okay, so yeah, that's our finite difference form. So in finite difference equations, two-dimensional problems involves geometries and boundary conditions. So we have geometries and boundary conditions here. This is our boundary condition, and this is our geometry. So the best alternative is often one that uses a numerical technique such as finite difference, finite element, or boundary element method because of its application, its ease of application. So yeah, because of its ease of application, finite difference method is well suited for an introductory treatment of numerical techniques. Okay, so yeah, let's go to energy balance. So in this case, we have energy in plus energy generated is equivalent to zero. So this is our figure. So as you can see here, we do not have energy coming out. So we only have energy coming in, and yeah, there's an energy generation. So to solve for the total thermal resistance, I mean the total heat transfer, we have the summation of all the energy coming in plus the energy generated. So energy generated is Q times the volume. So what's the volume? So we have delta x times delta y. Since we do not have a z-axis, so it's equal to 1. So yeah, that's our equation. Summation of Q mn plus Q delta x times delta y times 1. So, but delta x is also equivalent to delta y. So we have Q delta x squared times 1 equals 0. So that's our equation. Okay, so considering this figure, we have Mn. Mn is the nodal. This is what we are looking for actually. Yeah, if you have to determine the temperature Tmn. Okay, so we have here what are the energy coming in? So we have Q of M, Q at M minus 1n, Q of M plus 1n, Q of M n plus 1, and Q at M n minus 1. So we have, these are all conduction. So conduction siya lahat. So let's put some words. Conduction. 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 And another conduction. So we have four conduction. So that's the reason. Ay, that's the mode of heat transfer here. So if there's a convection, there should be a moving fluid here. But in case there's no convection, we only have this conduction, conduction heat transfer. So delta X is equivalent to delta Y. Okay. So Qm minus 1n going to Qmn. So, so this one, Qm minus 1n, heat transfer from Qm minus 1n to Qmn. So we have Ka times delta T over delta X. So ang area natin, our area is the area perpendicular to the heat transfer. So the area perpendicular is, for example, this is our Qm minus 1n going to Mn. So this one, Qm minus 1n going to Mn. So the perpendicular area is delta y times 1. So that's why we have delta y times 1 here. The delta t is Tm minus 1n minus Tmn over delta x. Okay, so that's it. So we already have the formula for Qm minus 1n. So next is the next node, Qm plus 1n. Where's that? Yeah, Qm plus 1n to Qmn. So the rate of heat transfer is K times area, same area, delta Y, the area perpendicular to the heat transfer, which is delta Y times 1. So yeah, and then T at M plus 1n minus Tmn is our delta T over delta X. Next we have Qmn plus 1 going to Mn. So where's that? Yeah, this one. So Q at Mn plus 1 going to Mn. So we have area perpendicular is delta X times 1. And then this is our delta T. Mn plus 1 Mn minus Mn over delta Y. So delta Y, it should be delta Y because the node is coming from the Y direction. Okay, so the heat transfer rather is coming from the Y direction. Another one from Y direction. So we have, this is from down. So from here down going to Mn. So we have Tmn minus 1 minus Mn. So we have, yeah, Tm minus 1, Mn minus 1 minus Tmn over delta Y times K times area. Okay, did you get it? So you just have to summarize, you'll just have to add these four nodes. So yeah, we have to add summation of Q going to Mn. So and then after you add this, you have to add also the heat generated. So this is Q times delta X times delta Y, wherein delta X is equivalent to delta Y. So we have Q times delta X squared. So that's our formula. Okay? So combine nyo lang yung, just combine this 4.32, 33, and 34, and also this equation, 4.31. 4.31, 32, 33, 34 combine. So you will get 4.35, equation 4.35. Okay? So simplifying it, we have, oh yeah, that's our simplified equation. Okay, so this is for case 1, wherein we have no convection. So how about if we have a convection? So this is for this case, no convection. So this case 1. So if we have convection, so the formula will be different. So yeah. So for example, given this figure, we have Q conduction plus Q convection. So how many Q conduction we have? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we will add Q convection. So that's why in this equation, so equation 4.36, 4.37, 4.38, and 4.39 is for Q of conduction. So equation point 4.4 is convection. The formula for convection is H times A, area, delta T. So we have two H here. We have two H here. So we have, I mean, we have two heat transfer convection here. So convection for the x-axis and convection for the y-axis. So that's why we have HA delta x over 2 yung area, which is this one. This is delta x over 2. This is delta y over 2. So we have H delta x over 2 times 1 times delta t plus H delta y over 2 times 1 times delta t. So delta t is T infinity, or the temperature of the fluid, minus Tmn. So Tmn, T infinity minus Tmn. So yeah, simplifying it, you will get this equation 4.41. So we have the total energy coming in. Okay, yeah. So we have combination of conduction and convection. So where again the mesh is such that delta x equals delta y. So nodal energy balance equation pertinent to several common geometries for situations where there is no internal generation are presented in this table. So I have a good news for you. So since you have the table, the green table, you don't have to memorize. You don't have to derive the equations. So equation 4.29 is for interior node. As you can see, there's no convection here. Equation 4.41 is for case 2 where there is an internal corner with convection. So you don't have to memorize this because it's already on your module. Sorry, on your table. I'm not sure about the page. Can you check it? Yeah, if you can see, it's already provided. So during exam, if you have given this, let's say, condition cases, so you just have to use this equation to solve for the value of the heat resistance or heat rate. Sorry. Yeah. So we have how many case? So this is for interior node, case 1. Case 2 is node at an internal corner with convection. Case 3 is node at a plane surface with convection. Case 4 is node at external corner with convection. And case 5 is node at a plane surface with uniform heat flux. So we are all in all we have 5 cases for you to study. Okay? Question? So no question. Did you understand our today's lesson? Okay. So yeah, we still have some examples here for you to study. By the way, I already provided you the practice problems aside from the problem sets. So the practice problem will help you enhance your skills in problem solving. It will also help you to understand better the different concepts in heat transfer that we have just discussed. So it includes the two-dimensional and one-dimensional heat transfer. So it will be a great advantage if you will solve for the practice problems. So yeah, I know some of you are already solving for the practice problems. Yeah, you can solve. It will be a great help for you because not all the problems are being discussed during our class. So because due to limited time, we only have one problem to solve, usually only one problem per topic. So that's the limitation of our discussion. So to address that, I have provided you the different practice problems that you can work on. So you don't have to submit the solution. So, but except for the problem sets that I provided you yesterday, so you have to submit your solution as per the instructions provided. I think the deadline is October 20, Sunday. So you still have 15 days for it to accomplish. So yeah, while solving for the problem sets, you are also learning. So please do not copy with your classmate so that you can work independently during exam. Okay, so with regard to this module, I already provided this for additional information. So here we also have some different problems, examples with solution. So you just have to study this one. So please study these sample problems with solution. Yeah. Also, yeah, there are also some problems without solution, which are already part of the practice problems, I think. So you just have to study that. Okay. So tomorrow we will discuss additional methods. So okay. So yeah. So okay. So do you have any questions so far? Yes, Alvin.
Hello po
Alvin.
sir, good afternoon po. Mag-a-ask lang po sana kami about po sa midterms kung ang coverage ba po ay dun po simula hanggang sa i-discuss po natin bukas.
Yes, that's the coverage of our midterm until the topic tomorrow,
Ay ano po
which
kaya
is
sir ang pinaka-focus namin?
Uh, we have four problems on the midterm exam. So every topic has a problem. So we have two-dimensional and one-dimensional heat transfer.
Bale sir, lahat po ng exam po ay problem solving po.
Yes, so far, problem solving lahat pa. So, hindi ko sure
Thank
kung
you so much
babaguhin ni
po.
ma'am. Dalawa kasi kaming gumagawa. So, bale, si ma'am Donna, i-consider, itatanong ko din kung ah, i-accept niya yung ginawa kong exam or gusto niyang palitan. Pero doon sa ginawa kong exam, I did not provide a, a in, objective type, all problem solving. So yeah, that's our coverage is until tomorrow. Yes, Samuel, Andrew.
Sir, bali ilang problems nga po? 4 problems po ba sabi niyo po?
Yes, four problems. So, but maybe there will be some changes when I receive the comments. So I'll have to wait for the commented exam. So, papacheckan ko muna siya, ano, pinapacheckan ko pa siya. So, if no changes, so it will be for problems only. Okay. So, any questions? Okay, so let's see each other again tomorrow for the last topic, which is also included in your midterm. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
po.
po.
Thank you
Thank you
po.